I think we're still talking about a lot of the same things, to be candid. I think a lot of the talk is around audiences, data, measurement. I think that there's a lot of talk about, how we are using video much more holistically. A lot of conversations around this idea that we can plan, buy, and transact in a more seamless, automated way. I think automation is a big topic. How do we do things more addressably? So I feel a lot of the same topics are continuing to be addressed, but I think we're at a point where a lot of them are becoming much more scalable and real and actionable. So I think that's sort of the topic is, what's real and what can we do now that I think we weren't able to transact on a lot of that a year ago. So I think that's one of what we're seeing a lot of.
Excellent. And I've been working on the alternative currency world for a while, and so it appears that has finally taken hold. Does it? You said you're now starting to really trade on alternative currencies. What has helped flip your clients to be willing to do that?
I think they're seeing that there is fidelity in the data. So what I mean by that is if we're using a partner like iSpot or VideoAmp, that there is scale, there's a panel behind it, we can get to real people, and that is interoperable, it's measurable, and we are starting to see that clients are very willing to certainly test it. I think if you can get clients to test it, and we can make sure that there is consistency in the data, and that we're doing that over time. You can't just flip a switch overnight. We have to have time to really understand, is it consistent? Is it stable? Is it diverse in the audiences? So there's a lot that we have to really test, and that takes time. But I think we are getting clients to see that this is the moment where we do need to look at other solutions. In addition to still utilizing Nielsen, obviously, but there really is an appetite to utilize different sources. And partners like iSpot and VideoAmp are also really good at back-end measurement, so they can also use it to close the loop. So if you can, again, use it to plan, buy, and measure, those opportunities are real, and clients are really leaning into that.
You talked about adoption there. I think part of what forced the hand for many clients was that Nielsen is also changing their data set. Are you experimenting with that as well?
Yes, we are. Absolutely experimenting with that. Again, we're looking at the data sources. It's still somewhat early there, but we're absolutely partnering with Nielsen on their Nielsen One product, and again, really getting all we're part of the alpha test with them, so we are absolutely working with them on their measurement as well. So we're really trying to test everything, and then ultimately, over the next probably 12 to 18 months, decide. And every client might be a little different. Some clients might want to use different measurement, which is fine. We want to be able to be flexible for our clients as well.
That's great. I've always found that the hard transition in a technology organization is going from one thing to two. And once you've gone from 1 to 2, going from 2 to N is much less problematic because you've already changed the way it works to compare and ingest multiple. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many survive from the point of view of client engagement. Yes?
Exactly. I think it's probably 2 to 3. It's what we're seeing right now that will really rise to the top. And to your point, be ones that clients are leaned into. And again, if they're using, a lot of them are using some of these partners as measurement sources already. So it makes sense that they might have a better end-to-end solution. And a lot of our partners like Mediaocean are in making sure that it's interoperable, which is critical. Because if it's not operationalized, it's very hard to scale, right? Because then you can't ingest the data into your buying systems. You can't transact off of it. If it's incredibly manual, that won't work in this ecosystem. So the fact that all of that is being set up and ready to be operationalized is a good signal that there's real change happening.
That was the first pressure I applied on VideoAmp in 2018. Was that if they couldn't get some sync with first
Yeah.
inventory and
Yep.
then data and Mediaocean I couldn't plan.
Exactly.
So to that point, yesterday on the panel that I moderated about sort of the future of measurement, one of the folks said something I found mildly controversial, which is that it will be okay to have one set of data for planning and sort of advanced measurement and another for currency. Do you have a point of view on that?
I mean, it's not ideal, but I think we are, because not all of it is. That's probably some gaps that we have, obviously. There isn't one ideal end-to-end solution from planning, buying, and measurement and activation.
From a data point of view, or just from a instrumentation point of view today?
Well, like the audiences aren't, if we have a high-value audience, for example, it's not a seamless transition. It's not a seamless
Not
way.
today.
Not today.
Do you think we will get to that?
I mean,
this contention was we don't need to do that. That's not important.
I think we do need to do that, because otherwise it's disparate data sources, it's disparate audiences, and if you can't ultimately measure that consistent audience to the closed loop, I think consistency is important. So I think it's important. I don't think we're there today, but I do think it's important. I think we can get there.
How do you feel about the integration of walled garden data, about getting to the point where we have a truly comprehensive view versus the ongoing willingness to trade on publisher log data where there is no better alternative?
I mean, I think is the question, do I think that the walled garden data will be integrated, or
I guess the way I think about it, having been a little bit on the buy side, do you think we'll get to a point where marketers are willing to apply financial pressure to get the walled gardens to play along as part of an integrated view of reach and frequency?
I think that there will be pressure. I think that there will be some pressure. I don't know how successful it will be. I think that Google's, Facebook, Meta seem very consistent about how they want to protect their data. So I think there's pressure, but I think we're going to have to really figure out alternative solutions to figure out how to best integrate that information into planning tools and other workaround solutions in the short term. So I think there will be pressure. I just don't know how much and how successful that will be in the end if they really want to keep that separate and private. So that's just the narrative we get from those partners a lot. So we're trying to figure out the right solutions with them, but they need to be flexible in working with us, because having the walled gardens doesn't help us get to this idea of consistency and integration across all the partners.